Yes, that's Shedeur Sanders. Star quarterback, son of Coach Prime, and the guy whose college highlights have been all over your timeline for months. The Ravens want him. They think they got him. But what happens next? Oh, just a little thing called complete chaos. Because instead of going along with the script and sliding into the Ravens system as the presumed backup to Lamar Jackson, Shedeur Sanders throws the NFL a curveball. He says no thanks to Baltimore. And just like that, the draft takes a hard left turn. 3 picks later, the Cleveland Browns swoop in and snatch him up. Cleveland, the land of quarterback purgatory.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The team that eats starting QBs for breakfast and still shows up hungry the next day. And Shedeur? He walks right into the fire on purpose. Now everyone's asking, is this genius or delusion? Did Shedeur just outsmart the system, or outplay himself? Let's rewind. Because this mess didn't come out of nowhere. Going into the draft, Shedeur Sanders was already a headline machine. His name carried weight not just because of his last name, thanks Dion, but because of how he handled himself on the field. Confidence? Off the charts. Swagger? 4 days. But that confidence wasn't just for show. This is a guy who genuinely believes he's ready to lead a team, now. Not next year, not when someone else gets injured, but from the jump. So when Baltimore, a team with a 2-time MVP in Lamar Jackson, comes knocking, Shedeur takes one look at the depth chart and says, nah, I'm not holding a clipboard. Bold? Yes. Risky? Absolutely. But according to those in the know, Sanders made it very clear he wasn't interested in sitting behind an entrenched starter. He wants to compete. He wants to start. And more than anything, he wants to control his own destiny. Which, okay, respect. But this isn't Madden. You don't just plug yourself in and take over. Especially not on a team like the Browns who, if we're being brutally honest, are more known for ruining quarterbacks than raising them. Remember Johnny Manziel? Baker Mayfield? Deshaun Watson's ongoing drama? The Browns' QB room is like a haunted house. Plenty of promise walks in, but what walks out is usually a shell of its former self. And yet, that's the place Shedeur chooses? You can hear the collective gasp from analysts across the country. The Ravens had everything: stability, a competent front office, an actual plan. Cleveland, on the other hand? They had vibes. And not always the good kind. So now you've got Browns owner Jimmy Haslam, reportedly fuming behind the scenes, not at Shedeur but at the entire situation. Because now the team has another quarterback storyline to juggle, and the pressure just got real. Fans are divided. Media's already lining up to scrutinize every throw this kid makes. And if things go sideways? Shedeur doesn't just burn his rookie season. He risks becoming another name on Cleveland's cursed QB jersey. But here's the kicker. Maybe Shedeur wants the chaos. Maybe he's betting on himself in a way we haven't seen in a long time. He didn't just decline a draft pick. He rejected the idea that fifth-rounders have to sit quietly and wait their turn. He looked at the league's unwritten rules and said, cool story. I'm doing it my way. And let's be clear, this wasn't just a diva moment. This was strategic. A pre-draft move straight out of the NBA playbook. Control your fit. Pick your market. Play chess, not checkers. It's a power play, rare for a rookie and almost unheard of for someone picked in the 5th round. But now the pressure is on. Because once you've made the bold move, you better back it up. If Shedeur flames out in Cleveland, that's not just a miss, it's a meltdown. People will say he chose ego over development. That he could have learned behind Lamar, soaked up the game and eventually gotten his shot the right way. But if he succeeds? If he carves out a role, maybe even earns the starting job by mid-season? Then we're talking about a new era. A quarterback who flipped the narrative before his first NFL snap. A guy who said, I'm not here to wait my turn, I'm here to take it. And let's not forget, the Browns aren't exactly settled. Deshaun Watson's situation is a full-blown question mark. His performance has been shaky, his availability unpredictable, and the fan support? Tepid at best. There's a window here. A crack in the door. And Shedeur just walked through it. What makes this whole saga so wild is how it breaks all the usual rules. Quarterbacks aren't supposed to dictate draft outcomes. Not unless you're a top 5 pick with Heisman hardware. But Shedeur didn't care. He leveraged his name, his confidence, and his vision of what he wants his career to be. In doing so, he turned a day 3 draft moment into a full-blown narrative bomb. And whether it explodes in his favor or blows up in his face, that's what we're all waiting to see. But you know who really took the L in all this? Baltimore. They had the blueprint. A perfect setup. Draft a talented QB, let him learn behind Lamar, maybe even flip him down the line for a higher pick. But instead they got ghosted by a 5th rounder. Ghosted. That's not just a hiccup, that's a flex from the player. And now they're scrambling. Maybe not publicly, but you better believe that draft board got rearranged in real time. Because when a quarterback basically tells your team, thanks but no thanks, it doesn't just affect that pick, it affects the whole strategy. So here we are. Shedeur Sanders is a Cleveland Brown. The Ravens moved on. And the NFL just got a little more unpredictable. Was it a genius move that will spark a new wave of player agency in the draft? Or the kind of risky play that ends up as a cautionary tale at rookie symposiums for years to come? Either way, you have to admit, it's iconic. Shedeur gets the Main Character Energy of the Week award. For turning a 5th-round pick into the plot of an entire episode. For rejecting the system with a smile. And for reminding everyone that sometimes the wildest moves make the best stories. Whether it ends in triumph or tragedy. That's the drama we live for. So what do you think? Is Shedeur playing chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers? Or did he just walk into a quarterback graveyard with a target on his back? Drop your takes in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. Because if this is how his draft weekend went, just imagine what's coming next. Because this isn't just about one draft pick. This is about what happens when legacy, ego, and ambition collide in the most public, most scrutinized way possible, on the NFL stage. And Shedeur Sanders? He's not just walking into that storm, he invited it. Now, imagine being in that Cleveland Browns facility the day after the draft. Coaches trying to play it cool, front office people whispering in corners, media personnel already drafting their headlines. And in walks Shedeur, fresh off making what might be the most polarizing quarterback decision since Eli Manning told the Chargers, "Yeah, no thanks." Except here's the twist, Shedeur didn't have a top 10 pick to fall back on. He didn't have the leverage of being a surefire franchise QB on paper. He's walking into a franchise notorious for eating talented players alive, and he did it by choice. Like what? This is either the most confident rookie QB in recent memory or someone who's in way over his head. And the truth is, it might be both. Because when you zoom out, the situation is absolutely unhinged. The Browns aren't exactly known for being quarterback friendly. They've been through 30 different starting QBs in the past 2 decades? Every time you blink, someone new is under center, and half the time they're introduced to fans like, "Hey, this is so-and-so. He used to be good at Oklahoma." There's no system to lean on. No stable coaching regime that's churned out Pro Bowlers like clockwork. No blueprint for young QBs to succeed in Cleveland. The only thing that's consistent is the inconsistency. So why would Shedeur want that? Because in his mind, that chaos is a ladder. In Baltimore, he'd be invisible. Just another guy wearing a headset on Sundays watching Lamar run the show for the next 5 years. But in Cleveland? There's a spotlight. There's drama. There's opportunity. And Shedeur? He's betting that he can be the one to finally fix what's been broken for decades. Okay, dramatic? Yes. Delusional? Maybe. But this is the exact kind of chaos we live for. And let's talk about what this move says about the NFL now in 2025. The old-school draft hierarchy is crumbling. Back in the day, a 5th-round rookie turning down a team like the Ravens would have been laughed out of the building. You go where you're picked, end of story. But now, players are brands. They've got marketing deals, social media leverage, college followings bigger than some NFL teams' fan bases. They're not just showing up, they're showing up with demands. Shedeur is walking proof of that shift. He made his college career a media event. Every press conference, every sideline camera, every single tweet from Coach Prime was part of a bigger narrative. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a quarterback, he was a production. And now he's bringing that same energy to the NFL. So yeah, when the Ravens came calling with their 5th-round development plan, he probably laughed. "You want me to wait behind Lamar Jackson? Meh. I've got 5-0 deals and a documentary crew following me around. I'm not built for the bench." And the Browns? Oh, they were ready for it. Of course they were. You don't draft Shedeur Sanders if you're looking for a quiet QB to sit and learn. You draft him because you want headlines. You want the clicks, the jersey sales, the what-if debates on every sports show. And you better believe Cleveland fans are watching this like it's a reality show. Because Shedeur isn't just a player, he's a narrative generator. Everything he does will be dissected. Every preseason throw, every sideline interaction, every cryptic Instagram post. And if Deshaun Watson so much as sneezes wrong, people will start chanting Shedeur's name like he's Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards. But let's not pretend this is all smooth sailing. For every moment of swagger, there's a tidal wave of pressure waiting to crash. And that pressure? It doesn't care who your dad is. Cleveland's locker room is full of veterans who don't care about your social media presence. Coaches who've seen 100 next big things flame out by October. And if Shedeur walks in like he owns the place without backing it up in training camp, that goodwill disappears fast. Because confidence without results? That's just noise. And here's where things get really interesting. The Browns are stuck in quarterback limbo. Deshaun Watson's situation is, to put it kindly, unstable. Injuries, inconsistency, off-field baggage. It's a mess. And the leash? It's getting shorter. That opens a door for Shedeur, but it also puts him in the most high-pressure QB room in the league. No one's going to give him a year to figure it out. No soft landings. If he steps on the field, it's go time. And if he struggles? The critics won't hold back. Not after he chose this path. Not after he said no to a franchise that's known for turning backups into starters with actual careers. It's like auditioning for a Broadway role, getting offered a guaranteed understudy part at the best theater in town, and saying, "Nah, I'm starring in a low-budget reboot on opening night. Wish me luck." But that's the gamble. Because if this works, if Shedeur actually turns Cleveland into something resembling a functioning offense, if he pulls off the impossible and wins, he doesn't just win games. He wins everything. The narrative. The respect. The legacy. He becomes the guy who beat the system. And suddenly, future prospects are taking notes. Future quarterbacks start saying, "Wait, I don't have to sit behind someone for 3 years? I don't have to let a team decide my fate just because they picked me first." Shedeur becomes the blueprint for player agency in the NFL. But if he fails? If he gets sacked 12 times in his first 2 games and throws more picks than touchdowns? Then it's the opposite. He becomes the cautionary tale. The "don't be that guy" segment on every draft show for the next 5 years. The dude who thought he was smarter than the system and got chewed up by the Cleveland quarterback blender like all the rest. So yeah, high risk, very high reward. And that's what makes this whole thing so damn compelling. It's not just a football story. It's a character arc. A guy trying to write his own story in a league that usually writes it for you. A 5th-round pick acting like a first-rounder. A quarterback with just enough confidence to make you believe he might actually pull it off, and just enough bravado to make you wonder if he's about to implode in spectacular fashion. So what's the moral here? What do we even take from all this? Maybe it's that the NFL isn't just about talent anymore. It's about narrative. About self-belief. About players who don't just play the game, they shape it. Shedeur Sanders didn't wait for the league to tell him where he belongs. He told the league where he was going. And that takes guts. Maybe even a little delusion. But in a league built on drama and chaos, that might be exactly what it takes. That's the part that keeps looping in everyone's minds. Did Shedeur underestimate the NFL? Did he overestimate himself? Or is this the long game, a strategy move we're just not equipped to understand yet? You've got people on ESPN panels practically foaming at the mouth arguing both sides. One half yelling, he's tanking his career before it even starts. And the other half clapping back with, no, he's revolutionizing what it means to be a rookie QB. And here you are, sitting at home eating cereal at midnight watching a clip titled, "Is Shedeur Sanders too smart for the NFL?" Like, what alternate reality is this? But okay, let's strip this down for a second. All analysis, all headlines aside, imagine being Shedeur Sanders right now. You just told the Ravens to stand down. A team with a winning record, a franchise quarterback, and a stable coaching system. That's not a diss to Baltimore, by the way. They've been one of the few organizations that actually knows how to develop talent without burning it to the ground. Quarterbacks go there and don't come out broken. And you told them no. What? Because sitting behind Lamar for 3 years didn't sound like a plan. Because waiting your turn was never in your DNA. Because you're not trying to be another clipboard-holding sideline mascot with a headset and a polite smile. You're trying to be the guy. And that's where the core of all this really is. Identity. Not just talent, not just opportunity, but the story you want to write for yourself. And Shedeur? He's not writing a story where he gets forgotten on the bench and maybe gets a shot when someone tweaks a hamstring in week 12. He's writing the story where he walks into chaos, grabs the wheel and says, "I've got this." Now, whether or not he actually has it, well, that's the gamble. But you know who loves a gamble? NFL owners. Especially owners like Jimmy Haslam. Because let's not ignore what this means for Cleveland. They didn't just pick up a 5th-round QB. They picked up a walking headline. A marketing machine. A storyline that might finally make their franchise relevant again, for something other than dysfunction. Even if Shedeur isn't starting week 1, You can bet his jersey is already flying off shelves. The camera will cut to him every time Watson misses a throw. Fans will be in the comments asking, when are we letting the real QB play? Before the ink on his rookie contract even dries. It's instant pressure, instant stakes. And again, that's what makes this moment so fascinating. Most rookie QBs are hidden, nurtured. They're allowed to learn behind the scenes. They make mistakes in practice, they adjust slowly, they get thrown in only when the situation is safe or controlled. But Shedeur has basically set fire to that entire developmental playbook. He said, nah, trial by fire sounds good. And Cleveland, the team with a track record of chewing up quarterbacks and spitting them out faster than they can repaint the locker, that's where he decided to test this theory? Ballsy. Because the Browns are not going to change their nature just because the cameras are watching. They're not suddenly going to become New England or Kansas City. If Shedeur messes up, if he shows even one crack in the armor, they will let him fall. And that's what no one is saying out loud. Yes, this move is bold. Yes, it's different. Yes, it could work. But if it doesn't? He doesn't get a second chance. The NFL is not a patient league. It's not built for, I'll get it next season energy. Especially not in Cleveland. Especially not when you asked for the smoke. That's why this whole thing is operating at such a fever pitch. It's not just about Shedeur versus the NFL. It's Shedeur versus expectation. Versus legacy. Versus pressure. Versus an entire sports machine that is waiting for him to stumble so it can say, see? We told you so. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of people who want this to fail. Not because they hate Shedeur. But because they hate the idea of players rewriting the rules. It scares the league. It scares front offices. Because if a fifth-round QB can tell a team no, what stops other players from doing it? What stops top prospects from treating the draft like free agency with extra steps? And that's the real story under the story. This is about control. It always is. Who gets to decide the arc of your career? The billion-dollar organization with spreadsheets and scouting departments and 5-year plans? Or the kid with a name, a brand, and the audacity to believe he knows better? It's the classic clash. System versus self. Playbook versus intuition. Wait your turn versus take your shot. And this is playing out in real time. Right now, as you're watching this, Shedeur Sanders is walking into team meetings, lifting with veterans, running drills with coaches who are silently wondering, is he the real deal, or just a headline waiting to explode? Because they've seen it all before. The swagger, the interviews, the social media buzz. None of that matters once the pads go on. Once the blitz comes screaming off the edge. Once you throw a pick six in the fourth quarter and the boos start rolling in like thunder. That's when we'll see what Shedeur's really made of. But honestly, that's kind of the beauty of it. This whole story is so human. So messy. So packed with risk and ego and ambition. It's not polished. It's not safe. It's not scripted. It's a rookie who said, I'm not waiting to be chosen. I am the choice. And whether you love it or hate it, whether you think he's a genius or a train wreck in slow motion, you can't look away. That's why we're giving Shedeur Sanders the Draft Day Disruptor of the Year award. For walking into the NFL like it's his story to tell, and everyone else is just an extra in his highlight reel. He's either the next great disruptor in sports, or the next epic cautionary tale. And honestly, either outcome will be iconic. So now it's your turn. Where do you land? Was Shedeur's decision a mic drop moment of confidence? Or a rookie mistake dressed up as self-awareness? Let us know in the comments. And subscribe because this saga is just getting started, and if you thought the draft was messy, wait until week 1. Get your popcorn. It's going to be a season. Every practice rep Shedeur takes? It's news. Every throw he makes in preseason? It's a clip on social media with 100,000 views in an hour and a caption like, QB1 loading? And every mistake? Oh, they're going to pounce. The second he underthrows a deep ball or misreads a coverage, someone's going to dig up this whole Ravens rejection saga and say, so you passed on Baltimore, for this? It's relentless. It always is. But that's the weight of being the story. You don't get to quietly develop in the background when your entire entry into the league was a statement. You put a target on your back the moment you said, no. And again, maybe that's the point. Because Shedeur isn't trying to sneak into this league. He's trying to announce himself. And he didn't want to come in through the service entrance. He kicked down the front door with sunglasses on, said, where's the spotlight? And walked straight into it. He's not hiding. He knows the comparisons are coming. People will mention Lamar, talk about how Shedeur could have learned from a top-tier dual-threat QB in a well-run organization with a track record of developing talent. They'll call this a missed opportunity. A bridge burned. A textbook example of hubris. But you know what? Maybe it is hubris. Maybe it is ego. But maybe ego is the exact thing you need to survive in this league. Especially if you're a young black quarterback trying to find your space in a system that doesn't always make room for you unless you force it. So yeah, maybe Shedeur's playing a dangerous game. Maybe he's bluffing with a pair of sevens in a league full of aces. But he's still at the table. And for now, everyone's watching him play. Because whether he ends up being the next Russell Wilson, or the next Robert Griffin III, or just another what if, in the long list of NFL curiosities, his name is already written into the story. The drama is baked in. The stakes are real. And every snap from this point on, it's personal. So pull up a chair because this saga is far from over. Shedeur bet big on himself, and now the whole league's watching to see if he can cash the check his confidence wrote. And honestly, no matter how this ends, it's going to be unforgettable.